Hi guys, welcome back to our city break guides, and next up is the great Danish capital, Copenhagen. So as ever, we're going to walk you through everything you need to know, from what weather to expect during a visit, how to use the metro, a review on all the top attractions, and some ideas on some day trips outside of Copenhagen. But before we get going, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for alerts on all future uploads, and smash that like button if you find the video useful. There are three options to get into the city from the airport, and each runs 24/7, and the metro and train are by far the most popular. They both leave from Terminal 3 and go straight to Copenhagen Central Station. Those arriving at Terminal 2 can simply walk to Terminal 3, and from Terminal 1 there's a quick free shuttle available. Copenhagen's a relatively small capital city, so you can explore a lot of it on foot, but it does have a really good metro and train network for those that need it. The metro is a driverless network consisting of 4 lines, M1, M2, M3 and M4, and M2 connects the city with the airport. Meanwhile, the train network is called the S train, that serves the city centre, but primarily provides a gateway to the outer suburbs of the city and beyond. The two services are integrated with a bus network, so buying a ticket for one works for all services. Prices are dictated by how many zones you cross, and the minimum is a 2-zone journey that costs about 24 kroner that will easily get you around the city centre. Children under 12 are free, and you can buy tickets at various different ticket machines or 7-Eleven kiosks. By far the best option though is to download the Dot app, where you can buy tickets online and store them on your phone. You can't visit Copenhagen without visiting Tivoli Gardens. It's the 5th most popular theme park in Europe, and by far and away the most popular in Scandinavia, and you won't find many theme parks that are located slap bang in the middle of a capital city. The park opened in 1843, and Walt Disney became a particular fan of the park in the 1900s, visiting a number of times, and some suggesting the park provided some inspiration for his decision to open his own parks in America. There are plenty of rides suitable for all ages, open most of the year apart from January to April, and for costs, expect to pay around 140 kroner for an adult, and children between 3 and 7 will only pay 60 kroner, and under 3s being free. Do bear in mind though that you have to buy ride tokens as well, which cost between 25 and 75 kroner per ride, or you can buy an unlimited ride token which includes your entrance fee for 387 kroner. Every city has a monument or a statue that tourists will flock to get a picture of to prove they've been to that city. In Copenhagen, that statue is the Little Mermaid. It celebrates the fictional character from the book by the same name by the famous Danish author Hans Christian Andersen, about a young mermaid who was willing to give up her life in the sea for a human soul. The mermaid was first unveiled in 1913 and is made primarily of bronze and measures around 4 foot. It's a free attraction, and you'll find her in Langelinie, which is a park and promenade within the city centre, and a lovely place to wander if the weather's nice. Another popular monument in the city is for the author himself, Hans Christian Andersen, Denmark's most famous author, well known for his fairy tales like The Ugly Duckling and The Princess and the Pea. If you head towards the City Hall Square in the centre of town, you'll find it next to the main City Hall. Nyhavn, or New Harbour, is a lovely place to visit, and its waterfront is a picture postcard image you'll get on Google when you type Copenhagen with its brightly coloured townhouses. It was first established in the 17th century, it's an area packed full of restaurants and bars, and the canal cruises will start from there. Again, very central, conveniently right next to the metro, and don't forget to stop by the Memorial Anchor, there to commemorate the 1700 service personnel who lost their lives in World War II. The Christiansborg Palace is where the Danish Parliament sit, and it's famous because it's the only building in the world that houses the 3 branches of government, the judiciary, legislature and executive. Several areas of the palace are also used by the monarchy, and you can visit some of these, such as the lavish reception rooms, the royal stables, the royal kitchens and the ruins under the palace that provides a window into the past and the older fortifications that once stood on the site, going back to the 1200s. You'll find the palace on Castle Island in the centre of town, with metro stations nearby and a short walk over one of the many bridges that connect this mini island to the city. You can opt to pay to visit only the areas you fancy, or you can buy a combined ticket to see them all. All children under 18 are free, and in addition you can also join a free guided tour of the Danish Parliament that takes around 45 minutes. The round tower is where you'll need to go if you want a beautiful view over the city. It was built by King Christian IV back in 1637 to provide an observatory for the city, alongside other buildings that were being built at the time, namely a church and a library. It stands 35 metres tall, and the route up the tower will see you walk up a 200-metre spiral ramp, but then 2 narrow staircases, one wood, one stone, comprising of about 60 steps altogether, and therefore the reason this isn't really suitable for wheelchair or buggy access. You'll find it in the centre of town again, very close to the metro, and it's very reasonably priced. We expect to pay 25 kroner for an adult, children between 5 and 15 pay 5 kroner, and under 5s are free. This is the main shopping district of Copenhagen, and it's one of the longest pedestrianised streets in Europe, where you'll find many budget and high-end shops along a kilometre stretch. It stretches right across the city from the City Hall to the King's New Square, and is a great place for a stroll and some retail therapy. Christiania is essentially a commune in the middle of the capital that's home to around 100 residents. It used to be a disused military barracks up until around 1971, when some locals took it over and declared it as a free town with a goal of achieving a self-governing society. The atmosphere around the place still retains that hippie, anarchic vibe, and it's become one of the top attractions in Copenhagen. You'll find it in the centre of town, easily accessed via the metro, and is a really interesting place to explore on foot. Museum fans should check out the National Museum of Denmark, which is one of Denmark's biggest museums, and it covers about 14,000 years worth of human history, right the way back to the early reindeer hunters of the Ice Age, to the famous Vikings, right the way to present day, showcasing what it's like to live in modern Denmark. The museum sits close to the Parliament building, and expect to pay 100 kroner for an adult, and all children under 18 are free. As already noted, Copenhagen is generally easy enough to see on foot, but if you do plan on seeing most of what we cover off in this guide, we'd certainly recommend the hop-on hop-off bus. There are 3 routes in total: red, which is classic Copenhagen, it's the longest, 90 minutes, green is urban Copenhagen, and purple, which is colourful Copenhagen, which both last about an hour. All tickets last 72 hours, and you can choose between one or all 3 routes. Adults cost 204 kroner for one route and 246 kroner for all 3. Children cost 128 kroner for all 3 routes and just 5 kroner for one. Under 5s are free. If you're spending a few days in Copenhagen and fancy a day trip somewhere a little different, then the Swedish city of Malmö is very close, as is Denmark's 3rd largest city, Odense. Malmö is also Sweden's 3rd biggest city, and you get there from Copenhagen via the famous Öresund Bridge that connects Denmark and Sweden and is one of the longest road bridges in Europe. The journey time takes around 40 minutes, both by car or train, and once in Malmö you could check out the tallest building in Scandinavia, the Twisted Torso building, standing 190 metres tall, and there are then various museums, churches and parks to explore for the day. Alternatively, in the opposite direction to Copenhagen is Odense, which will take around 2 hours by road, or there are regular trains that will only take around 90 minutes. Its claim to fame is that it's the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen, so it's a great place to explore if you want to visit his childhood home and or the museum dedicated to documenting his life work. Originally translated to simply butter and bread, is a staple across Denmark. It's essentially an open sandwich where various different toppings, whether it be cold cuts of meat, cheese or spreads, are placed on top of a buttered slice of rye bread. We've travelled extensively with our children, so appreciate the need to find things suitable for kids when you're abroad. In Copenhagen, we'd recommend checking out the Barken Amusement Park, Copenhagen Zoo and the city's aquarium. So generally open between March and August, Barken is touted as the oldest theme park in the world, having amazingly been founded way back in 1583. Today it offers 32 rides for all ages and a further 78 other attractions like the arcades and plenty of food stalls and restaurants for all budgets. Easily accessed from the city on the Orange S line, it sits nestled in beautiful woodland, 10 kilometres from the city centre. Entrance is free, and then you pay for the rides you go on by buying a wristband. A wristband that will get you on unlimited rides on all amusements will cost 229 kroner, whilst a children's wristband that will pay to ride 11 attractions will cost 139 kroner. From the oldest theme parks in the world to one of the oldest zoos in the world, Copenhagen Zoo is a particular family favourite. Open every day of the year and divided into 5 regions, you'll find animals from all continents and various feeding programmes throughout the day. The zoo sits very close to the city centre and is surrounded by train and metro stations, so very easy to get to. Expect to pay 195 kroner for an adult day ticket and 105 kroner for children between 3 and 11, under 3s are free. Meanwhile, the city aquarium lies to the southeast of the city, not far from the airport and a mere 600 metres from the nearest metro stop. It's divided into 8 sections and on show are 50 aquariums that collectively hold 7 million litres of water and designed to show species of animals from lakes, rivers, oceans and seas. Adults cost 185 kroner and children aged between 3 and 11 pay 100 kroner, with under 3s being free. So that's what to expect from a trip to Copenhagen. Hope you found that useful. But before you leave, if you are new to our channel, feel free to subscribe. We regularly post content on here to provide you with inspiration for your next getaway. Why not leave us a comment, let us know what you think. And finally, if you're heading off to Copenhagen anytime soon, have a lovely holiday.